Hello and welcome to the Bcamp podcast. We are excited today to have Ryan Rawlings, who is a data engineer at TrustEngine. So thank you for joining us, Ryan. Do you mind just giving us a little bit of background about TrustEngine?
Sure. We are B2B sales enablement for mortgage professionals. We leverage data to help mortgage professionals identify the right pitches for everybody in their database based on, where they are in their lives and where they are in kind of their loan cycle. And we also provide a very popular and very powerful product called Mortgage Coach that really helps a loan officer coach someone through the process of buying a mortgage, finding the right option that makes the most sense for them, really laying out all the options really cleanly. It's a really powerful service.
Awesome. Very cool. Data is everything's built on the data foundation. So we're excited to talk to you. And yeah, Ryan, again, thank you for joining. And now we'd love to hear about your story a little bit, how you ended up at TrustEngine, how you got into data in the first place. You know,
Sure.
start as far back as you want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I started out as a child. No, I I graduated. I went into college with the idea that I was going to be an econ major, and just because of various things in my life, by the time I actually got around to kind of like the weeder class, which was the first stats class in the econ major, it had been about 5 years since I'd had a math class. Couldn't remember how to take a derivative or anything like that, and even though I didn't do too terribly in that class, it shook me a little bit as far as what I was actually able to do, and I made a hard pivot over to English and the humanities, and it was a great decision, and I loved it. But I did find out relatively quickly on leaving college that English majors didn't get paid super well, and I was fortunate enough to land in a company that was doing business process outsourcing and didn't have a real strong tech department. And if we wanted to learn anything about the customers, we had to query the SQL, we had to query the database ourselves. So I had to learn SQL, had to learn more Excel than I had ever, learned up to that point, and also developed a real it was my first real exposure to some to like lean manufacturing methodologies and the idea about like this is how you organize your system for the maximum throughput, maximum efficiency, things like that. Kind of wrap all that up. It sent me off to business school, got an MBA, and ended up working for Goldman Sachs actually in their HR department doing compensation analytics, and really kind of based on this idea that this data-driven mentality was really going to be the way to do all of the things that like lean manufacturing had done for operations back in the 80s. It was going to be a same sort of a paradigm for knowledge work in the 30 or so years that I was going to be in the workforce. And so on the basis of that insight, kind of went all in on the, I want to be a data guy. I want to be the person that knows the best about that. That was my reputation among my MBA class is, if you want something fancy done with a spreadsheet or a database, you come talk to Ryan and he'll, do your presentation sort of thing. As I got to Goldman, a lot of my data growth and growth as an engineer and everything else was really driven by a deep hatred of doing anything manually in Excel. I hated it, and anytime I had to do something more than 3 times, I was looking for a way to automate it. And that kind of mentality grew me from position to position. And very frequently, I found myself as kind of like the most technical person on a non-technical team was the niche that I kind of found and grew into. And every step that I took, it was, I'm doing a little bit more and a little bit more. Maybe I'm doing lots of VBA automation in one thing, and then I go to the next place and okay, now I'm working on, an access database to try and fill some gap that the team had. I'm managing some little web app that a team did because I just kept raising my hand and saying, I can probably figure it out. And, Stack Overflow was my best friend back then. Now my friendship has ended with Stack Overflow, and Claude and ChatGPT are my two new best friends. But they're filling the same function, and got to a point where I was hanging with the regular data engineers, and it was really really cool to see all of that, yeah, kind of how all the plumbing worked. I was working, on the kind of on the front end of the data, doing a lot of Alteryx work. By the time it was done, wrote a couple of REST APIs, but that was about as far into it as I ever got. And having sat on the fence and kind of looking on both sides, I realized that what I really wanted to do was more of the customer facing visualization work. The data engineering stuff was really cool, and it was good to know how it all worked. But probably not where I was going to add the most value. That was where it switched from me being the most technical person on a non-technical team to being the least technical person on a very technical team. And so I decided that I liked the former situation better. And, when I left Goldman Sachs and was looking for my next position, that was really what I was looking to do. And TrustEngine it was exactly what I was looking for. They had a kind of scattered and very kind of bespoke BI initiatives, very scattershot, and they needed someone to come in and really devote some attention to it, organize it, clear out the backlog of things that people have been asking for forever. And the one guy who 25% of his time was building charts and stuff, he just didn't have time to get there. Um, and that was how I, kind of got to where it was that I am. And now even at TrustEngine, it has been expanding that role from just being the charts and graphs guy into, what can we say strategically about product direction? What can we say strategically about, market positioning and things like that? And, um, I've developed a lot of credibility through just, the questions that I've asked and the things that I've been able to build. Um, and giving people insights that they found valuable, so now they're looking further afield, and I'm offering things that are further afield.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the story of how you moved from non-technical and just slowly moved into a more technical role, which is, it's almost like probably happened over years. You didn't even realize it.
It was, and it was very like it was deliberate, but I very definitely kind of snuck in through the back door, and then eventually
Yeah.
got experience where I could say, "You can call me an engineer, sure, that works," and
So if,
people stop questioning after a while. It's just like, well, yeah, you've done engineering stuff, so you are an engineer.
that's so interesting. If you were to go back, would you have done a technical degree? Or do you
I will
like the
recommend
path that you
I will
took?
recommend a humanities minor to anyone and everyone. A humanities minor is fantastic, but yes, if I could go back, and I would have said, even econ is great, but go major in computer science or something, and you'll be a lot more valuable to wherever you end up. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I would definitely recommend training. I mean, I did have one actual formal programming class in my MBA, and that was such a good foundation. Like just a little bit of formal training went a very, very long way as far as understanding what all the concepts was. I didn't really understand what like an array was or a multi-dimensional array. I did like that didn't click for me until I sat through that class. Like, oh, this is all the things that I can do, and this is why they're useful. And I'm not sure how quickly I would have gotten there without just that little bit of formal education.
Yep. 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 Makes sense. So I'm curious to hear about what are some of your favorite use cases that either you're working on now or that you've worked on in the recent past with data, or if you're exploring AI.
Yeah. So th- one of the things that I've been my favorite use case for AI specifically is it's just I mentioned before that like Stack Overflow is not my best friend anymore. Now it's ChatGPT, and it's so rewarding to be able to just be like, hey, this is my problem. How would you do this? And have it spit out that. There's some syntax for, certain SQL functions that I can never remember because I use it, once every couple of months. And I can just go like, hey, this is my use case. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how to do it. And, you go and pop it in. That is super, super useful. And, it's been rewarding as well to be able to use it on personal projects. As I've started to dabble off in some more development, more actual hardcore software engineering, with Claude as my wingman, and that's been fantastic. Work-wise, one of the things that we're doing right now that is really exciting to me is, like I said, we're really trying to dial in narratives with all of the people in like your loan officer's database. So you go and you apply for a loan, and then maybe 3-4 years later you're ready for a refinance. Um, but why? Like what pitch would resonate with you? Maybe you've got kids that are entering into college, and you've got you want to take look at a home equity loan instead of student loans, or in addition to that, that's a thing. Or there's all sorts of ways that reasons that somebody might want to get a loan. And there's so much public data out there available that you can do, and in a pretty non-invasive sort of a way, just be like, if you're looking at this or this or this, uh, these might be reasons why you would be interested in getting a loan. And it's just a pitch where you can kind of like, the borrowers can look and see if anything resonates. When you join it up with the kind of proprietary coaching software that we have, and you can create a little conversation starter, it really can be a very personalized, very tailored pitch to uh, any individual that comes without any pressure. It's not someone on the other end of the line that's trying to close your deal or anything, but you can just look at it and educate yourself that way. Another thing that we are starting to pitch and starting to build out that's gotten really great response is, in conjunction with that coaching document that we would send out, it comes with an AI chat attached to it that you can ask it questions. Say, what's the difference between the interest rate and the APR? And it can spit you out that sort of thing. Or why would I want an FHA loan instead of a conventional, or vice versa? And it can spit you out that sort of thing. And then you can take those conversations that it's had with the AI. AI will summarize it, send it to the loan author, and say, this person was engaging with this sort of thing. They were asking these sorts of questions. If you want to follow up with them, these are the avenues that they seem to be interested in. And it's just a really, really powerful tool to help the loan officer make a pitch that's going to resonate
Mhm.
with these people. So it's very much about finding the thing that's going to make sense for people, and all sorts of different ways we can use the data to do that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I think, this is one of the promises, I think, of AI, that we can hyper personalize things for people. And I'm curious, actually, and again, you may not be able to say if it's proprietary, but um, just like how you think about like training the model to identify that what's going to resonate with customers. Do you find that what's going to resonate is
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
similar across customers, or is it really unique? Like, how hard is it to train that model?
Yeah, that's a great question. And still very early days. The
Yeah,
model itself is not doing so much of the pitches. A lot of that just because the loan space is very heavily regulated, heavily
yeah, yeah,
you've got to do a lot on compliance sort of thing. Where if you are if you're going to start making offers or pitches to different groups of people, you need to be able to explain why you made this pitch so that there's no discrimination, no anything like
yeah.
that. So we're that's a thing that we're still working on. All of the kind of the combination of the pitches that we might send out and see which one people click on, that is being done via a very traditional sort of big data approach, where we're looking to see what makes the most sense for these people. And that's been a fun project too, to start to there was the old like Kaggle competitions. I don't even know if Kaggle is still going on, but it's very much like a Kaggle competition. You've got these 1,000 people, and some of them are going to get loans in the next year and some of them aren't. And how do you tell the difference between these guys and those guys? And uh and for what purposes are they getting them? And a lot of that same sort of thinking is what we're using to drive the segmentation and the pitching and the everything else. And then once they start to engage, that's where the AI and the personalization really starts to kick in as a warm handoff to the LO and what then they can do for the people.
Yep, yep, that makes sense. Yeah, very cool. So shifting gears just a little bit, I'd be curious to hear from you about how you stay up to date with everything that's going on with data and AI, and maybe like your team at work. Do you have any, uh, processes or education built in to help stay up to speed with this, or how do you think about this?
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially at the beginning, when I was first getting sort of my cutting my teeth, getting my feet wet, whatever. The developers were the cool kids, and they were the ones that I wanted to hang out with. And so it was I look back and it was very much like, the sophomore kind of like hanging out on the outskirts of the group of seniors, trying to figure out what jokes they were making and why they were funny. And, and it, it was really kind of a process of like self-culturalization that I was going through to be like, okay, well, what are they reading? What blogs are they reading? Let me read these same blogs so that I can keep up with these conversations. What are they? Uh, what jokes are they laughing at? What YouTube channels are they watching? At Goldman Sachs, there was a kind of an internal Slack channel that was a mostly social. But if you were an engineer, you were on this channel, and I was also on that channel, mostly lurking, just watching to see like what are these people talking about, and so much of it was just being curious. And every time someone would say something, it's like, okay, I don't get this joke. Why don't I get this joke? And having to go off on some research project and doing that until, okay, now I understand why this is funny. And I talk about that a from a social perspective, but yeah, it would be hard for me to overstate how important that was for the things that I learned.
Hmm.
And that was the motivation for me to go out and read the Wikipedia pages, read the everything else. Is it even XKCD? Like I can't even tell you how many things I learned because I didn't get the XKCD that day, and I had to go out and like do my research to figure out, okay, why is this comic funny?
That's
And
funny.
you know it's really great, and it's something that I've kind of tried to spin up that same sort of a channel and that same sort of a culture at TrustEngine as well, and that's actually been really fun to see and watch that grow because you are I'm still not the one who's leading the pack on most of the stuff. I'm still tagging
Hmm.
along in a lot of aspects, and it's so great to be able to learn and share with people in those ways. um, and then the other bit is, it still happens where I get frustrated if I have to do the same thing manually more than a few times. And that is what is driving me out to AI. It's what's driving me to like our actual DBA who is on my team and saying, if I need to do this thing in Snowflake, like how do I do this? And having him teach and show and mentor and everything else. So I think what it really comes down to is like it's curiosity more than anything else. And for me, the curiosity was driven by a healthy dollop of imposter syndrome, and also just like wanting to be like these cool people who are doing the cool things. But I mean, it could be anything. But I think if it comes down to you have to constantly be asking the questions and constantly keeping your antenna up for what is it going on that you don't understand and caring that you don't understand about something.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that social aspect. And I think on a broader scale, this is happening as well, where, there are conversations going on, probably like within OpenAI, but there's like conversations, also public conversations going on where like the innovation is happening from those conversations. So I love that idea of just being tapped into the right conversations and then trying to understand what's going on in the conversation. It's like a good way to learn. Very interesting. I love that. Well, Ryan, it's been fantastic having you on. Do you have any final thoughts, maybe some advice for people who are just getting into AI development or, data engineering?
AI development, data engineering. Uh, Governance is everything. If your data is messy, nothing will work. Models are everything. If your data isn't modeled properly, everything will be harder. And once you get it modeled easily or modeled correctly, everything gets easier. Uh, Make really good friends with all of the engineers and the DBAs because they will tell you what you don't understand, and they'll all the things that they're complaining about are the areas that you need to dig into. Uh, make good friends with everybody and listen to them because all of the questions that they're asking are like that's a area that you can add value. Um,
Hmm.
and if you're the person that they use to interface with the database, which right now I kind of am, that's that's where you can add that. Like that's your job is to understand what questions people are asking and figure out how to get the answers.